Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. In this video I will be going over my build in Guild Wars 2 on my ranger, who is a condition build ranger. And I want to start out with the pros and cons of a condition build. The pretty obvious one is that the short bow can only stack bleeds when it's behind the target. So if you're not behind your target, you're not going to be stacking the bleeds, and you're obviously not going to be doing as much damage as you could be. And then there's the toughness. Well, that's kind of ahead of what I want to talk about, but my build, the items, the stats, they stack toughness. You don't want to stack toughness, and that's something I'll probably change in the future. I haven't got my full build yet, so I can't really test everything thoroughly, but once I get to that point and I see, maybe I need to switch out this piece and bring in some vitality just to get that extra survivability. And the pros would be the bleeds are stacking fast. You can use your traps to initiate a pull, and that'll give you 3 stacks of bleeding, which gives you that DPS right off the bat, and then you can start attacking the target from behind. You also can use the traps after you've got your max stacks on the target to increase that DPS just by a little bit. And definitely another con would be it's something I don't completely understand yet, and it's something I'm looking into, is bleeds get overridden by certain classes. If, warrior's stacking bleeds, he might overwrite your bleeds. I'm not entirely sure. If you know more about this, or if you've got information or links to a website that have information about this, feel free to leave me a comment. I'll definitely check it out, and thank you for doing so. And let's see. It's got survivability, because we've got the toughness. Definitely, again, we'll probably at some point switch out some gear for some vitality. That's about it. Let's get into the skills here. Obviously, we're using the short bow. There's really no other route to go other than the short bow. And let's see, we've got our healing spring. I mean, there really isn't much option here, so healing spring would be your best bet. It allows you to get the condition off as well. It takes conditions off of allies and yourself. Flame trap is used for applying a burning on the target. The spike trap is used to initiate a fight or continue stacking bleeds higher on a mob. Sun Spirit. Sun Spirit is one that you can rotate out. That's kind of the utility skill. You can switch it out for a few other things. For instance, you could, if you really wanted to, go Sharpening Stone, just to make sure you get that extra stack of bleed. I mean, it just depends on how you want to play. You could also go Quickening Zephyr. That'll give you stacks as well. If you wanted to be more defensive for your group, you could give them the Stone Spirit, or even if you've got Zerkers, you could go Frost Spirit. It really is up in the air as far as what you want to do. I mean, for instance, you could even go Signet of the Hunt for whatever reason, if you feel that that's what you want to do. And then obviously the last one, there is no better than Rampage as 1 for your ultimate skill here. Alright, so that's our skills. My offhand would be the Axe and Warhorn. That's not really, it's more of a preference. The Axe doesn't bring anything to the table exactly. It's got the bleeding with the split blade, but I'm not going to be switching to my Axe anytime soon just to get that out, because it doesn't apply bleeds with your auto attack. So you're losing bleeding stacks just because you switch to it. Now, if you want to initiate a fight, you could pop Call of the Wild just to get that extra damage in the beginning, and then switch to your short bow shortly after, so you get that max DPS that you can get. And then let's go on to our traits. I think that would be the next place to start. Currently I am 0, 30, 30, 10, and 0. Obviously you can see that. We've got precision so that we can crit more often, and we'll talk about why I need to crit more often. Let's see, we've got our toughness and our condition damage. Obviously this is a condition build. Why would you not want more condition? So going 30 in here is almost a no-brainer. And then we've got summon vitality here. We've got 10 points, giving us 100 vitality and increased boon duration. Now there are other possibilities for traits. And again, this build hasn't been completely tested by me yet. I don't have all of my gear to test it, but condition duration from power, or the marksmanship trait tree, could be more beneficial than the precision. And it's quite possible that it is. It's something I haven't completely tested again. But for instance, the reason I want crit chance is obviously critting does more damage than a normal attack. It does 150% more damage based off your base damage, and getting a crit in this build has a chance to cause bleeding. So obviously condition damage, you're stacking bleeds, you want more bleeds, better bleeds, more bleeds is better. So critting and causing bleeds is a major plus. We've got our minor traits here: gain swiftness when swapping weapon, blah blah blah. That one's completely useless. A lot of these traits are kind of useless. Gain fury when swapping weapons in combat. Okay, now that's a good one. That one, fury, if I'm not mistaken, increases your crit chance by 20%. Yeah, it says it right there on the Rampage's one. And our second major trait here would be trap skills use ground targeting and are 50% larger. That allows you to be outside of the combat area, the melee area, and still get your traps off and hit the target. Extremely beneficial. I love that I don't have to be in the face of anything and I can stay at a distance and get off my traps. Deal 10% more damage while flanking. Flanking is when you're attacking from behind. That's our goal as a condition build. If you're not attacking from behind, then you're not getting the most damage you can. Sometimes you can't always. If you were to use this build as a solo PvE build, it wouldn't work as well unless your pet could hold the aggro. For our final major trait here, we've got trap potency. Conditions caused by traps last twice as long, and traps recharge 20% faster. That's just to get more damage out there more frequently. There's other traits here. Gain an attack of opportunity for you and your pet on interrupting a foe. You really can't interrupt a boss. You can do it once in a while, but it's not much. I mean, that's hardly a DPS increase by much. Let's see. Short bow and long bow skill recharge. There aren't many other skills. You will use your 2 whenever it's off cooldown, but that's about it. You could use crippling shot. No, it's not. Yeah, crippling shot. I thought that was the one that it increased. I thought that caused vulnerability, but I guess I was wrong. It causes bleeding. It's the same as an auto attack from behind, so that really wouldn't matter. If you were to use your 4, it wouldn't increase or decrease your DPS. It does say that it does more damage as the bleed, but to each his own, I suppose. We've got yeah, we don't have much else here to choose from, which is unfortunate, and I feel that way about a lot of the traits. So for that one, I use trap potency. Moving on to the wilderness survival. The reason I went with wilderness survival is strictly for the condition damage that it gives. Some of the traits are kind of useless, like this one here. Create muddy terrain when you take falling damage. You take 50% less damage from falling. I mean, what could that be good for? If you're playing World versus World and you want to jump off that cliff, jump off that cliff. But in PvE, that's utterly useless as far as any type of utility. And there's not anything else. I guess survival skills would be a good alternative. Swiftness to you and your allies when reviving somebody. Gain vigor when you're using a healing skill. Pets deal extra condition damage. That one's not really that good. So we've got survival skills recharge 20% faster. That could be a better spot too. That would be optimal, I suppose. And the fall damage is just a utility that I found useful at the time, whatever reason it was. And the first trait, which I skipped, was incoming disability conditions are transferred to your pet instead. This effect can only trigger once every 90 seconds. The last one, apply camouflage when you are dazed, knocked down, launched, pushed back, or stunned. This effect cannot trigger more than once every 30 seconds. Like I said before, there aren't many other skills or traits to use, so this one is purely for, that boss fight where there might be a lot of knockdowns, or you didn't get the perfect position on the boss fight and he knocked you down. Well, in this case, you didn't lose any DPS because you didn't get knocked down, and if it doesn't happen in 30 seconds from now, nothing happened. I mean, it's as if you never went down, or there was never a spell cast on you. Moving on to the last here, the nature magic. Gain regeneration when your health reaches 75%. That's just the utility thing. That's not something you can change. Pretty useless. Spirits have twice as much health. Spirit bonuses have a 35% chance of providing their benefits. I do use Sun Spirit. I use Sun Spirit more often than I do anything else, so having this ability increases the chance that they will get the burning effect to a 70% chance, which is great. You definitely want to have that if you're running a Spirit. There's also Spirit support builds, but that's not what mine is. And the other options here, you could go with 5% of Vitality is given as a bonus to power. That would increase your direct damage, but I'm not a Vitality stacked ranger, so if I'm not, I don't think that the benefit would outweigh. I don't know. That's actually wrong. I know that's wrong. You could do the 5%, and you couldn't be wrong about it. It will increase your DPS. There's no question about that. But having the 70% chance as opposed to the 35% chance is definitely a huge bonus as well. And that's something I'd have to sit down and do the math about. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the gear. This gear, again, is not what I will use endgame. This is what I have now built up so far. I have the... Well, that doesn't work very well. It shows what the skin is, so I can't give you the exact name of what it is. But I will be going for Rabid, R-A-B-I-D, gear, which is precision, toughness, and condition damage, with an emphasis on condition damage. And that's what all of these pieces have, except for the top piece here. That's one I haven't had time to switch out yet. The ruins that I am using are Ruin of the Crate. I found them to be the most viable as far as condition damage and the other benefits that the additional stacks give you. So I'm using that for now. The sixth one is completely useless. 100 power underwater. There's like 5% of fights that you will ever be underwater for. Unless you're doing fractals, that's about it. So I don't have a sixth ruin. For sixth ruin, which I don't currently have, I have a Ruin of Life in there for whatever reason. I am going to use any of the other condition ruins just to get that 28 condition damage off of it. It doesn't matter which one, as long as it's got 28 condition. That's what will be in there. For my bow, I have the short bow of Earth. It's got 128 precision, toughness, condition damage, again, rabid stats. And the sigil is 60% chance on crit, inflict bleeding. Now, I haven't done a lot of research as far as what other people think would be the best sigil for a condition build, but in my opinion, as of right now, the 60% chance on crit, inflict bleeding is going to increase your DPS more than anything else is. Thinking off the top of my head, another alternative would be condition duration. That could benefit you as well. As far as how much more or how much less, I am not entirely sure. Moving on to my gadgets here, my little trinkets. These are again not optimized for their spots. I am a fractal runner. Again, I am PvE oriented, so I've got the ascended piece here that has agony resistance there. It is an emphasis on toughness, vitality, condition damage. Now this is the first piece that I have used that has vitality on it, and I did that purely because I do know in the future that I will switch some pieces out for vitality, stacking toughness is just not what you want to do. You do not want to stuff full toughness. It's just not going to benefit you as much as it would if you had a balance between toughness and vitality. Moving on to the next piece, we've got our rings here. These are again ascended pieces from the fractals. These are not optimized. These are random infused drops that happen after the daily chest, so they are obviously not optimized. Completely ignore them. We've got my accessory here. Power, vitality, condition damage. This is something I haven't converted yet. Now this is what I will be using. This is a karma item only. Book of Rabid Deeds of the Rampager. So it does precision, toughness, condition damage again, rabid stats with the exquisite coral jewel that has 25 precision, 15 condition, and 15 power. The other option was 25 condition damage, I think vitality and power, if I'm not mistaken. It really was just a step that I wanted to take. I just wanted more crit chance. And I've tested this. Actually, I'll pull that up real quick. I've tested this with a build editor, and I've just gone through and changed the different jewels out just to see what stats would be where. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So I went for this particular build to start out. I want more crit. I obviously don't have the crit chance that I want yet, so I went with the 25% or the 25 precision. Alright, let's talk about this real quick. This is a wonderful website that allows you to build your skills, your traits, your items without having to pay that 60 gold to test it. So the end stats that I've got from all this rabid gear, the Ruin of Crate, the exquisite coral jewels, and the Priscola jewels, I've got 49% crit. I don't need more than 49% crit. I'm not a power build, so I won't be doing as much damage if I had 100. If I had 100% crit, obviously that's amazing, but you're going to be sacrificing other skills. And 49% seems to be a very good number for balancing condition damage and all the other stats that I'm looking for. We've got 15-25 condition damage. This does not include might stacks. So every time you get a might stack, that's 35 more condition damage. We're sitting at 30% critical damage. So we do 180, if I'm doing my math correct, percent of our base damage when we crit, which is 49%. Our health is 16,882. Our armor is 2928. Our toughness is 1864. Precision 1864. Power 976. That's just above base. And boon duration is 10%. So that's about it for this build. If there are any questions that I can answer for you, if there's something you feel that might be better, I am completely and absolutely open to any suggestions that you may have as far as my build is concerned. It is not end all be all of all condition damage builds. It is skeptical, it is open to suggestions. So feel free to leave a comment below and I will do my best to pay attention to it, and I will definitely get back to you if I feel that it's something that's viable. Thanks again, and I will be doing updates once a week on my build if there are any changes, so that you guys who are following me on YouTube can be up to date. And feel free to check out my channel at twitch.tv/novice. That is in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. I am live from 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes I'll run a little bit later. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays I typically run all day. And I do giveaways on Fridays. Every Friday there will be a giveaway. Those who are participating in the channel will have an opportunity to win something. I don't know, maybe Guild Wars 2 once in a while. I'll throw in a Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition or something. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope this has been informative. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and take it easy.